Yeah. Oh, my mic is muted. My mic is muted. Yo, what is going on? Run It Back Nation. This is DJ Eastwood, Run It Back Philly. No frauds, no fanboys, no intros. All that good stuff, man. We're going to talk some birds because, God damn it, I'm sick of the Philadelphia 76ers right now. And Doc Rivers pissing me off. So a lot of things I haven't even touched on that have been going on in the Philadelphia Eagles world this offseason. Stephen Conrad Jr. from the Liberty Line. Welcome, sir.
What is up, everybody? Really quickly, I just thought of this. Special shout out to Eastwood, obviously, for having me on. For those of you that follow him on Twitter, I don't know if you saw his tweet a little bit ago. I don't know if it's true or not. Did you stay true to your word? But apparently he bought a six-pack to prepare himself for the great debate we're going to have. So in honor of my man Eastwood, I usually don't drink during the week, man. I got to.
Let's go, man. Dude, you have to drink when you're talking about Philly sports in general. Like,
oh my gosh,
that's how I am with it. But I bought a 4-pack actually. Okay, it's Founder's Breakfast Stout, one of my favorite stouts ever made. And they come in 4. So I lied. I didn't get 6. I only got 4. But it's like 8%. So I think it'll do the trick.
Well, hey, that's like double of what I'm drinking.
All right, man. So shout out to everybody in the chat already, man. I'm just excited to do some birds talk, man. So for those that don't know, we'll just start it this way, okay? For those that don't know, I have been one of the biggest Jalen Hurts. I don't want to say haters, okay? Because I would love to be wrong about any Philadelphia athlete that I don't believe can succeed or be, the best, whatever. But I guess I've been
how we were with Ben Simmons, right?
Yeah, exactly. I would have loved to have been wrong. I would have loved I would have loved for him to start shooting 3-pointers and opening up his game and dominating the NBA or whatever. Okay, critic, Eagle Slayer, thank you for that.
There you go. That's a perfect word.
Probably the biggest Jalen Hurts critic on YouTube, especially last season. Stephen Conrad still has a strong belief in our guy Jalen Hurts. So we go back and forth on Twitter sometimes about I lost all faith last season in him being able to become a franchise quarterback that can lead a team to a Super Bowl. So feel free to take as much time as you want and enlighten me on why exactly you think, what you see, what you've seen, what you think about him. Why do you think he can become a franchise quarterback that leads a team to a Super Bowl? Just, you do believe that, right?
Well, obviously, right, as a fan of a football team, that's the goal, right? Like, otherwise, like, what are we talking about here? Want to win a Super Bowl, obviously. Honestly, though, look really quickly before we dive into like Jalen Hurts. How many quarterbacks do you honestly think? Like, there's the thing. There's the quarterbacks you think can win a Super Bowl, and then there's the ones who actually win the Super Bowl, right? And as far as the ones who actually win the Super Bowl, it's been, look at the last 20 years, which has been the majority that I've been on this planet. Tom Brady's won 5 or 6 now, 7, whatever it is. Ben Roethlisberger won a couple. Who else am I missing? Peyton Manning won 2, and he's arguably like a top 5 quarterback ever. And it seemed like he was stuck on 1. Aaron Rodgers, as great as he is, has only won 1 Super Bowl. So at the end of the day, unless you're a top 2 or 3 quarterback in the NFL, you're probably not going to win a Super Bowl. Now, as far as having a shot at winning one, I would say there's probably another, like, what would you say? The next like 8 or 9 QBs tend to have a shot at winning a Super Bowl, right? Obviously you get the outlier like Eli Manning, he won 2. Who else am I missing? Nick Foles. We don't even have to get into that. You know what I mean? So
yeah, I'm not saying that nobody can guarantee that anybody can win a Super Bowl, but you basically, in the way I see it, you want to find a quarterback that you believe has a
Yeah.
shot at delivering you a Super Bowl,
There you
right?
go.
And
Right.
if you don't believe that, if people don't believe that, then there's no point in like moving forward. There, you just go try someone else. So I'm 100% already off the wagon, but
Mm.
um, I just I just am. If he comes out this season and impresses me, but I don't see it happening. But just go ahead. So you believe that Jalen Hurts can one day be a quarterback that gives us a shot at winning a Super Bowl?
Yeah, I think so. Just because I know, like, for those that watch Eastwood's content, I tune in because I enjoy your takes, especially on the Eagles. Like, that's the thing. Like, you have to be able to, because obviously we're on different sides here. And I've seen something you've said a lot. You've said it to me on Twitter too. Is like you think he's like, do you honestly believe like his comparison is Tim Tebow, or do you kind of just say that out of just
Now, give me
like
one
spite?
second.
Because
My
I
mic
hear that
fell
a
apart.
lot. You're not the only one who says that, by the way. So here's my thing, right? So Jalen Hurts is, well, as he's fixing his microphone, I think he can still hear me. So he is 23 years of age, right? And that's still very young. He's absolutely not in his prime. And Eastwood points out a lot of times that if you look at his draft scouting report, right? A lot of the weaknesses that you see on there, as far as what is it, reading the defense, arm strength, maybe anticipation, whatever you want to say, he hasn't improved on. And I think those are still weaknesses, but I don't think that's true. I think he has improved. And before I really get into this, I don't want to come off as like a Jalen Hurts fanboy because that's not who I am. I've said this before going into this offseason when I heard Russell Wilson was available, even Deshaun Watson, who, like, I'm not going to get into what the hell he's done off the field or what he hasn't done. I don't care to. That's just, and it's
Yeah.
disturbing too. Though, I was like, "Oh my gosh, if we can get one of those guys, yes, do it. Absolutely. They're both top 5 probably." But that didn't happen, and I had a feeling that wasn't gonna happen. Um, Jalen has all we know this, has all of the intangibles. We're talking leadership, accountability, and honestly, maybe I feel more strongly about that after dealing with, both Carson Wentz and Ben Simmons over the like, what a disaster that's been, here
Yeah.
in Philly, but those are real things, like, we can't ignore those, and, he has, believe it or not, he has improved since college, every single year, actually, even in college. I'm not a numbers guy, really. Me and That's where me and East would agree, especially with this stupid MVP debate that's going on in basketball. I'm an eye test guy 1000%, but I will use numbers, if need be, and we can get into those if you want, but, I kinda wanna let you kinda go on here based off of, like, 'cause I wanna hear you. I never really hear you talk about, like, Jalen's intangibles, like, what do you think about that?
Well, the funny thing about the numbers is like people can use statistics. People use his statistics the same way they use Nikola Jokic's statistics or
Oh,
whoever
man.
else that they stretch out to look a certain way. Not that Jokic is a top maybe
Yeah.
5-10 player in the NBA, but or maybe top 2. I'm just saying, but you could talk about his completion percentage. Like numbers to me they're all subjective, and there's reasons for certain things. My computer's been being weird lately. It turned off earlier and restarted, and I thought it just happened again. So I don't know. There's like people will bring up his completion. Well, look, he had the highest completion percentage at Alabama in one season in history, and that's
Mm.
literally because
I don't like those kinda numbers, by the way. I
right
don't like
because
those.
that's literally because he threw the ball 10 to 15 yards. He never threw it past
Mhm.
that. So of course, when they talk about completion percentage or anything like that in the Eagles offense, they're literally, it was like runs and screens and runs and screens and runs and screens and runs and screens. It's not hard to have an 80% completion percentage when you're throwing the ball 3 yards to your left. So that's how I feel about numbers. Um,
Mm.
but my take on Jalen Hurts is that I don't think anything matters as far as his intangibles, because to
Oh,
me
damn.
seriously, like, you can bring up his leadership. He's one of the strongest athletes in the entire NFL. He can squat
Mm.
600 pounds. He's unbelievable, which is I was screaming at the TV a lot last season, why we're not like QB sneaking on the 1 yard line. This guy can
Yeah.
carry an
Oh my
entire
gosh.
defensive line, but he can't throw a ball. Like, he can't throw an accurate football. From what I've seen just now from all of the things that are on his draft profile, all of the Alabama, Oklahoma, every single ball to me, almost, I'm going to say off the top of my head,
Whoa.
just from what I see, 90% are off target.
Oh my god.
Seriously.
What?
Seriously.
Jeez.
Slants are behind receivers, in front of receivers, at their feet, over their heads. Like his long ball is atrocious. 15 yards short, 20 yards short. It's unbelievable how off target he is on some throws, and I just see too much sway. Like once in a while, he'll drop one in the breadbasket, and I'm like, where the hell did that come from? But then the next play, it'll be like 17 yards to the right and out of bounds. So to me, it's way too inconsistent, and I don't think he can. I don't think he can draw it in and be that guy. And it also looks to me like he struggles to launch it. Like it takes his entire body. It takes like 7 seconds for him to throw it that like with all of his strength. I just don't see it. I think he has small hands.
Mm.
I really think he has. It kind of reminds me of myself trying to throw an NFL football. Like it's massive, and my hands aren't big enough. I can't grip it. I can't launch it. I know Jalen Hurts is obviously way better than me at throwing an NFL football, but it just doesn't look to me like he has much control and like power behind throwing the ball. That's where I'm at with it. And anything I read about him, everybody always goes to he had the most rushing yards of any quarterback. He had rushing yards this, rushing yards that. That always to me points to the fact that he has to run because he can't throw.
Mm. I hate getting into the well,
No,
geez,
I
that's
see
a
it.
lot. So
It's
I
how
hate
I
getting
see it,
into
man.
the I hate getting into like the rushing debate because it's just like, you get the side where it's like, he has to because he can't throw, blah blah blah. But at the end of the day, like it's still a weapon to have, and you rather not have it. You rather have it than not have it. Um, according to Eastwood, he throws 90% inaccurate passes. I mean, I hear you. It doesn't look. I guess it doesn't look perfect coming out. I haven't noticed that personally. Like there's times where you're just like maybe he's not gonna have the arm to do that. I don't know if it's really an arm strength thing. I think it's timing because when you look at a lot of the times, a lot of the plays where you're like, man, he missed that throw. Um, as far as guys not having like arm talent, you need to supplement that with timing. And like you look at so many guys, like if you can get the ball out quickly and be decisive with it, even like literally Jalen, like if you look at his good passing games, it's usually when he makes quick decisions. He's not standing there waiting. He tries to throw people open and stuff like that. He's just so young. And I know you probably you don't want to hear about the numbers, but like
No, go ahead.
I think these numbers do apply, and a lot of people bring up the fact that like he only has his good completion games when it's like the short routes, the screen game, and stuff like that. But the Eagles' offense, I literally looked this up right before. In terms of yards per play, they rank 10th in the NFL. Now, obviously, that's counting in all the big runs they have, and they had a lot of big runs. Hertz was actually 17th in yards per pass thrown, and that's like literally right in the middle. And obviously, like the top guys are going to be your big arm guys like Mahomes, Josh Allen. So he's right in the middle, and I don't think people realize that. I'm not saying that because I love Devontae Smith, and I think he can be one of the best receivers in the NFL. He should be. I don't care about the
Yeah, he
weight,
should
all
be.
that stuff. He should be, right? And we could all agree if he had, Russell Wilson throwing him the ball, he probably would have put up like 1,200 yards. But that was his number one, his best weapon going into this season, and he's a rookie. Like he had a learning curve. I don't know if people remember. It took him a little bit. He struggled against Dallas in week 2, for example. He didn't really have that good of a game. It took him some time to
Devontae?
learn. And yeah, he kind of got shut down in that. I think it was week 3 against Dallas. He struggled.
Yeah, that was Jalen Hurts' worst game of his career.
He had his
That
worst game
that
of his
that
career,
that
probably.
was the game. That was the game that I was like, oh my god, this guy can't throw. That was the game.
That was
That was the
brutal.
game. Drive number one, he threw a ball that he tried to get to the end zone that was 15 yards short, right to the defense, and I was like, oh my god, no pressure, nobody made contact, and he just threw it that far off target, and I was like, oh my god, this guy can't throw.
Hmm.
But you know, I'm also reactionary. If people believe that that's something he can develop, and if I said a lot too, it seems like timing. But then I saw, you know, so many games where it didn't get better, and then the Bucks game in the playoffs was, I mean, we knew we didn't stand a chance against that team, especially with Gannon's defense and on that side of the ball. But uh, I just didn't see much development as far as him not running from clean pockets, which is something he does all the time that drives me insane. He makes one read and he ducks his head and runs. Or he panics, does a 360 in the middle of a clean pocket, and because he wants to run, he just has so much instinct to like, okay, it's not there, I got to run, because that's that college quarterback mentality. He won't stand there and make multiple reads and make the throw. But here's what I want to say: I think the things that people are hoping Jalen Hurts can develop, which is control, pass control, like zip on the ball, arm strength, things like that.
Right.
Like when you look at a guy like Josh Allen or even Jacksonville's quarterback last year, number one pick in the draft, that was all over the
Oh,
place.
Trevor
These
Lawrence.
quarterbacks, yeah, Trevor Lawrence. Those quarterbacks, because Josh Allen wasn't good his rookie year. Those quarterbacks have a rocket for an arm that you have to try to control over the next couple of years. Like this dude can absolutely launch the ball, but he has no control over it. We got to get him honed in and get the timing down and all that stuff. I don't see Jalen Hurts having that strength. Like I don't see a strength that he has that we're trying to like dial in. I don't see. So you know what I mean? It's like, to me, like I like Josh Allen. I think of when you watch that Chiefs game in the playoffs, Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes, the throws that those dudes were making back to back to back to back to back. I can't picture Jalen Hurts ever being in a situation like that in the playoffs, making those big time throws on a big time stage. I just don't see it. I think it's the opposite. Those player with a that can throw the ball 70 yards that you got to learn the NFL game is one thing, but I don't think this guy has the arm strength to start. That's where I'm at with
Damn.
it.
All right. Well, so to be fair, you're not wrong. Like you're bringing up Josh Allen and Mahomes. Like to be fair, those guys, those are the two best arms in the NFL. Like if everybody could get their hands on it, they would. Um,
Yeah.
but then you had just said, you know, you don't think he's a starter. So then I'm like, oh damn. Like you were making a lot of sense, and then you said that. So it's like
I don't think he's a starter.
at
Is that
all,
what I said?
really.
Well, I don't. Well, I like going into this season. I completely agree with going with Jalen Hurts, but I don't think the Eagles or anybody has an actual plan for him beyond this season. I think they're
This
definitely
coming
drafting a.
season you're talking about?
Yeah, I think they're definitely
Okay.
drafting a quarterback now. Like I totally agree. He deserves to play this upcoming season. Why would you draft,
Oh,
Malik
okay.
Willis or anything like that?
Well,
Um,
I'm surprised because it didn't sound like you were there a little bit ago.
well, no, I don't think he can lead a team to anything. But you don't have. I don't think you have any
Well, they made the
options right now.
playoffs last year, man.
Yeah, by running the ball 75 times a game. That's exactly what happened. Listen, it was and like I was yelling at Nick Sirianni the whole season because I saw the weaknesses and I said, "Why the hell are you dropping this guy back 47 times, making him throw the ball when you know you can't win like that? RPO, 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 RPO. You're playing this dude like you played Carson Wentz basically, except he he didn't even make the right decision on the RPO 90% of the time. Like the reason, remember the game where Miles Sanders got 2 carries and everyone was mad at Nick Sirianni?
Oh,
They were all RPOs. Jalen Hurts wouldn't
yeah.
give him the ball. Dude. I'm like, give him the damn
Well,
ball.
that's
So
tough. Yeah.
I probably sound like I blame everything on Hurts, but um, once Sirianni started to look at the fan base and look in the crowd and see signs that say run the damn ball, he's like, all right, fine. We'll run. They ran the ball 55 times the next game. And then he's like, oh, this works. Yeah, because you have a running quarterback. Obviously, that's what you should have been doing. So I'm like, if this is your quarterback, you have to use him strategically, and that's the way to do it. But that doesn't, to me, make him anything in the future.
Well, to be
That's
honest,
what I'm saying.
man, like,
Kahir be in the chat. This is exactly what I'm saying. He said, but him running the ball is the reason we made the playoffs. He did lead us. I completely agree. But I don't see that style of quarterback taking you anywhere besides
mm,
a first round exit in the playoffs. Because when the playoffs I said this a million times. When the playoffs start, when you start playing good defenses that are going to contain you, they're going to force you to throw the ball from the pocket in the NFL, and that's what happened against the Bucs. I didn't
Mhm.
expect them to put up a shot against the Bucs, but you know,
Right. Well, let me ask you this because I always ask people this, right? So that Bucks game in the playoffs. Let's just say in a imaginary world, Russell Wilson is our quarterback. Do you think we win that game? Because I still think we lose.
um,
It's closer, but I still think the Bucks win by maybe probably a score or two at least. Because our defense, like let's be honest, our defense sucks. Like it's gotten better this offseason. We'll get into it, but our
yeah,
defense sucks or
yeah, we're on
sucked
the same
last year, I
page.
should
We're
say.
on the same page with that. I put out like a Instagram reel, and I was like, dude, like this is all I have to say about this upcoming game. Tom Brady is the least sacked quarterback in the NFL, and we have the
Yeah.
least amount of quarterback pressures in the NFL. Like that, it's over. Tom Brady's going to stand back there with a blindfold on and throw all over the field, throw right at the middle of the field, right at our non-existent linebackers, and it's over. So yeah, I agree. That game we didn't stand a chance because, and that's why I think this draft is big time because the defense and the center of the defense, the linebacker position, the safeties,
That's a
they're
good point.
bad. So also
Yeah.
like it doesn't even matter what we really think about Jalen Hurts if our defense is going to be what it was last season.
Well, that's good you're getting into that, and it's perfect tying into this comment that Jay Quest just said. He said, uh, I guess Hurts. What I don't want to get into that. He was a Pro Bowl alternate. How is he not a starter? Russell. This is a good. I like what he's bringing up here, though. He says Russell Wilson was no different. He won the Super Bowl off of defense in the running game. They had the Legion of Boom. That defense was number one in the league.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. They won that's the thing, man. They won the Super Bowl. Like Russell Wilson was good, but like he's become like a quote unquote like MVP guy over these last couple years when the Seahawks have sucked. So
Hmm.
it goes to show you, this goes back to what I said in the beginning. Unless you have like a top 3 guy, your team needs to be like almost picture perfect for you to actually win the Super Bowl. And the Seahawks were that year. Their defense was number one, the run game, all that stuff. Wilson was good, but I wouldn't say he was like top 3 in the like a top 3 QB. So like unless like that's so this is my mindset. Like I want people to understand. I'm not saying the Eagles should commit to Jalen Hurts for like the next 5 years. I'm just saying obviously now even after these trades and whatnot, and we both can agree they shouldn't draft somebody like he deserves this season to prove himself, and I think he will. I think he has a good shot at proving himself. As far as like what I mean by that, I'm not saying they're gonna like extend him for 5 years, but I just think it's happened time and time again in the NFL. It's always the QB's like second year as a starter. Andy Reid had said that before. He was like the QB's second year as a starter and his second year in the offense is when they make that like that's their biggest jump. Now, I'm not saying Jalen is going to make that ginormous jump. Like what I'm saying is we have to wait and see. But what I'm saying is there's a good chance that happens because if you look, Jalen has had a different coach every single year. It's been, I mean, this dates back to high school actually, because he transferred in college. And I don't think people realize like how important that is. That is like a huge part. Like you mentioned, Eastwood was talking about, Sirianni waiting till week 8 to run the damn ball, whatever led to that decision. I have no idea. Um, but this is the biggest indicator coming up. And I feel like you feel like, do you think, you don't think he's gonna make that jump, right? Like that's your mindset?
I don't see the arm talent. Like straight, I just don't see the arm talent. I don't think. Some people just don't have it. He can be the best team leader. He can be the best. Like he's a great dude. He's a hard worker. He believes in himself. You know, a lot of people can have the number one mentality and not be able to dunk from the foul line. Like I don't think he has the physical tools to be an elite passer in the NFL. That's how I see it.
He may yeah, I
But
mean, he may never
Russell
get
Wilson's
there,
a
right?
Russell Wilson's a great comparison because he definitely was a game manager his first couple of seasons and when they won that Super Bowl. And honestly, if you gave Jalen Hurts that number one defense that was dominating everybody, it might be enough to run
Right.
the ball down their throats. I mean, Cam Newton and the Panthers went 15-0 one season, and he was just running the ball down the field, plowing over people. So
That's a good. Yeah.
um, they didn't win the Super Bowl that year, but probably because eventually he was forced to throw the ball from the pocket. But I with a strong enough defense, it could look a lot better than it did last season, of course. But um, I also just, I guess maybe it's a preference. Like I also would just like, I would like an elite quarterback. I would like to watch that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, if we could have got Russell Wilson, if we could have got Deshaun Watson, if we could have got anybody on that level, then you're a couple steps ahead without, you know, taking years to develop somebody. But I think we're going to go this season, and we're going to draft somebody next season, and we're going to take, 2 or 3 more seasons to develop that quarterback, and people need to be ready for it. We're going to be bad for a long time. That's where I'm at.
You think bad for a long time?
Yeah, 5 years easy.
Mm. Well, like last year, I mean, 9 and 8 and made the playoffs. I could honestly, I've said this to Vic on our podcast. I could honestly see us regressing this coming season, depending on what happens, this off season. But that just depends on what happens in the draft and everything like that. I don't mean go from like winning 9 last year to like 4, but I just mean like maybe we only win like 7 instead of making that jump to maybe 10 wins or whatever. But it all depends, like I said, what they do in the draft. Like we can sit here and debate this Hurts thing till 5 in the
Yeah.
morning, but like
People
they have to
people
hit on these draft picks, man.
Yeah, people also need to, when people in the chat are talking about the record and stuff, when you talk about the record, you have to take into account how bad the NFC East was. I'm not saying the Eagles were bottom of the barrel. They weren't as bad as the Giants. They weren't as bad as the Washington Commanders or whatever the hell their name is now. They weren't as bad as those teams because we had a dominant offensive line. We had a quarterback who can run. We had a quarterback who can sometimes throw the ball. We got by beating really bad teams, especially the second half of the season. I know that sounds like, oh, you're downplaying it. No, he didn't beat a single over 500 team the entire season. So right when you get to the playoffs, boom, good team in your face. Now you have to throw the ball. Game over. And our defensive strategy was, I have no faith in John Gannon either. But yeah, let's move to that. Like you said, we could debate, Jalen Hurts forever. It's basically just you believe that he could develop into something. I'm not seeing the core like arm talent to do that. But like I said, if it happens, I'll be happy, and then everyone will come at me like I'm the biggest hater in the world. I want him to succeed. I'm just not seeing it. But
Well, really quick before you switch transition over, like he's probably never going to develop like that, down the field, like arm strength, like just like carve up a defense. But like, what if he does turn into like a super efficient? Like, I'm trying to think of a comparison. It, 'Cause it's hard to say. Like, I'd like to think of like Dak Prescott, how he's got clearly has a better arm than Jalen, but like he's come a long way. Like he can really read and dissect a defense. Like, what if Hurts turns into like, I'm not saying Dak Prescott, but like what if he really gets to a point where it's like next year you start to see signs like, oh wow, he's starting to read the defense, make the smart throws, and then you factor that into, him being he's up there with Lamar running the football. Like you just have to call it what it is, you know?
yeah,
Because that's the only shot. Like, I don't think he's ever going to be, like these guys that are down here throwing 40 plus yards, just carving people up.
right. But that's what you want, though. Is Lamar Jackson going to win a Super Bowl in his career?
Well, Lamar does. See, that's the thing. Lamar doesn't really. I don't think he's gotten better, but I don't think
To me,
even he can like.
it's another. That's what I'm saying. To me, it's another Cam Newton. It's a guy that can do things in a regular season, but when it comes down to the playoffs, good defenses that contain you and force you to throw from the pocket. I don't see Lamar Jackson winning a Super Bowl. I just don't think he's that accurate enough of a passer to get it done when it matters against the biggest, best defenses in the league. And my man that I just blocked for 5 minutes, of course, brought up race because, you can't have an opinion about athletes without somebody. Oh, if it was a white guy, you would blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? I'm talking about Russell Wilson as I would love to I believe Deshaun Watson is one of the best passers in the NFL.
Mhm.
So you got blocked for 5 minutes for that comment. And if you do it again, you're just going to get blocked from the channel because it's ridiculous. Anyway, Well, I, I, it's just so ridiculous.
Oh,
Like,
no, it's
Randall Cunningham is one of my favorite quarterbacks of all time, but he also, was kind of a Cam Newton, just a dominant runner. Had a cannon, kind of a Lamar Jackson. I can kind of compare him to Randall Cunningham. Had a cannon, but when it came down to playoffs against good defenses, just couldn't get it done from the pocket. Uh, you know, we'll move on to talking about the team and what they need, what they really need this upcoming season. Aaron Cabbage, run it back MVP. My man, every day. Aaron, what's up, man? The problem I have with Hurts is not arm strength, it's decision making. It's understanding that
Mhm.
Devontae and Goddard is covered and throwing it to Watkins, knowing he's going to beat his man and throwing to where it will be. Yeah, well, the end of that comment is what really, throwing to where it will be is what he really has struggled with in college, in the NFL so far. It's just he waits because he wants to have, he thinks too much. He wants to have good numbers. He doesn't want to make a bunch of mistakes. So he won't, like, okay, this guy's about to be open. I'm going to launch the ball 5 yards ahead and see what happens.
Mhm.
He waits until the player's open and then it's too late and it's behind him. So, I agree with that, Aaron. And a play last year, was it the Bucks? What game was it where he threw it to damn Jalen Rager twice at the goal line and he was the
Oh, the
open
Giants
receiver,
game.
I guess, but at the same time, he had big drops in the first half, and I'm like, why are you even looking at this guy? Just back up and throw it to Devontae Smith, damn it.
Well, I mean, I don't know that example. I
I'm
mean,
not.
Rager's got to catch the damn football though.
I
That's like
agree. I'm not
like he
saying like
shouldn't be on the field if like you don't think he's gonna catch it.
he shouldn't be on the field. I
You know what I
agree.
mean?
Yeah, he shouldn't be on the field. And which is what, like, moving towards talking about this draft, man. I see so many mocks with the Eagles taking a receiver in the first round. I can't handle it. Too
Oh,
many
see, I'm
holes.
a okay. I'm a okay with that.
Oh,
That's a good conversation then. If you don't, agree with that.
I see too many holes. It's all defensive. Our linebacking core is bad. Our defensive line is aging. Our safeties are about to leave. Steve Nelson's about to leave. Anthony Harris is about to leave. There's nothing there, and
I
we're
think
there's
they
just
re-signed Anthony Harris. I mean, he's
did
average
they?
though. Let's just be honest.
Yeah,
He's
he wasn't.
very average. They got to do better than him.
Oh, I think they gave him a 1 year deal, but yeah, he's not. He's a good tackler. But just as far as coverage, man, he was like diving at people's feet, getting pass interference calls in the end zone. I just, like, you know what I mean? Like, I have opinions on Jalen Hurts and the offense, but it's really worthless unless we fix the other side of the ball first. So, I mean, you can get, stud wide receivers at 15, 16, maybe 19,
Mhm.
but is there a point in doing that right now? I'm going to make a bold
Well,
prediction. I'm going to make a bold
go
prediction
ahead.
right now. Bold prediction. Philadelphia Eagles fans, brace yourselves
Uh oh.
on draft night. 2 of these 3 first round picks are getting traded for multiple picks in 2023.
And that would indicate that they want a quarter. Well, nah, they have ammunition. Then they can trade or draft one. Then I guess we'll just put it that way. That's your mindset, right?
Yeah, because I really think
Damn, two of the three first.
I really
Wow.
think I really think they want to be at the top of the draft in 2023.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, I could see
2
them
might be a
trading
stretch.
one.
What?
Yeah, I see one. I definitely see one happening.
Yeah, I could see one's pretty realistic.
Because then they'll have their first next year and then another one. So that's
And as much as I slander Howie Roseman for, the way that he drafts and a lot of things that he does, he is he's a mastermind at flipping things. And what he did last season to turn that horrible situation into 3 first round draft picks is nothing short of Einstein level when it comes to being a GM. So, I don't think he has an eye for talent to actually be the one drafting the players, but he's always
yeah.
been a wizard when it comes to the books, when it comes to contracts, extending contracts, clearing up cap space somehow, some way, whatever, and trading picks for more picks and fleecing other teams. But can he actually pick the right players? You know what I mean? I guess
Yeah,
what I
that's
would ask you is, what do you think the Eagles' biggest need is right off the bat?
I still think like even after what they did in free agency, it's got to be because they, like you said, they had the worst pass rush in the NFL, man. So they got to go defensive line. Luckily, like there's a lot of defensive line talent in this draft, a lot
Yeah.
inside and outside, by the way. Because Fletcher Cox, he's on a 1 year deal now. He's gonna be done soon. They might. I could honestly see them using one of those first on his replacement.
Yeah, that's very definitely very possible. Um, it's tough, man. The NFL is quick, man. You know what I mean? Like you don't really develop into a starter, Pro Bowl level player. I would guess the average age is maybe 26, 27, 28. You know what I mean? And then like you got like 4 years basically until you're on the decline. So it's tough to keep up with. So that's why Howie's always drafting
Yep.
defensive linemen,
I see
offensive
the
linemen, and I
chat's
get it.
mentioning. I've gotten into a little bit. I'm pretty sure this guy they're talking about, Jordan Davis, is like that's a defensive tackle, I think. So there you go. And the intriguing thing about that is like you do that and this, Jordan Davis's rookie year or, whoever they decide to do, he'd be playing behind Fletcher and Hargrave. So then it's like you're not asking him to come out here and be like the number one guy right away.
Yeah, it's true. It's a good way to get a guy's feet wet in the NFL is to have players to sit behind. Aaron says the amount of times Watkins was wide open, Hurts just missed him with Brady. Watkins is 1,000-yard receiver. I mean, yeah, I agree with
Well,
that. I think
Devontae's a 1,400-yard receiver with Brady.
Devontae's a 2,000-yard receiver with Tom Brady, man. Like Randy
Oh, man.
Moss's career was almost done, and he got I get to catch balls from Tom Brady for 3 seasons. Let's do that now. I was about to retire, but I'll just catch balls from Tom Brady for 3. Yeah, you can't. Well, nobody's ever had a Tom Brady besides the teams that had Tom Brady. So, but I think the point he's ultimately trying to make is that we don't have to draft a wide receiver because I really think we had, I really think we had a strong wide receiver core. I think Watkins really stepped up. People are putting him at like a solidified number 3, and I'm like, what has he done that doesn't make him
Sirianni
the
said 2. I'm like,
number
dude, what
2?
on
Yeah.
earth? Come on, man. I like Quez is awesome. I think he can be really good, but not wide receiver 2.
I mean, I would say they need a big body like Jason Avant type of player
Mm-hmm.
that can be over the middle, is gonna a security blanket. I guess Dallas Goedert at the tight end position is that, but it'd be nice to have a big slot wide receiver that can be that also security blanket like that. But do they even exist anymore? Really, like big slot wide receivers like Jason Avant? I don't even know.
They need a big receiver. They definitely do because they don't, they don't have like Devontae. Devontae. The bottom line is he needs the ball more, but they need like they need a big like outside receiver.
Yeah, they don't have a size guy. They don't have a jump ball guy.
Like, who are you going
Fades.
to in the red zone? Like, Devontae should be that guy. Like, one-on-one, you're going to Devontae, but they doubled him. Like, and then, like, Quez isn't really a red zone guy. He's just, every other, between the 20s, people like to say, right?
Yeah, he's not a red zone guy at
Rager
all. Yeah, you're right.
sucks. Goddard's a tight end. Like, they don't have. You know what's funny? Remember we had nothing but big receivers, and then we're like, dude, we're slow. We need speed. And we literally just
Yeah.
drafted guys for their 40 times. Like, come on, man.
I
And
remember
I hate 40 times, by the way. That doesn't tell you anything.
No, it doesn't tell you anything. Jalen Rager was like a 4.23 or something ridiculous. And that's literally the sole reason how he drafted him. He's like, I'm going to get the fastest player in this draft. And I don't know what happened, or I don't know what happened that day that he was clocked at a 4.29 or whatever it was, but he's not a 4.2 anything. Not even close. He's a 4.5 maybe. He doesn't even look that fast. I don't understand how they debauched that thing. That blows my mind. But Howie's history of drafting wide receivers is wild, man. It
That's
really
the
is.
problem with that's what scares me.
So so where do you think they go? What they should go They should go defensive tackle. A lot of people are saying in the chat, like right off the bat. I'm
Yep.
going to agree with that. If there's like a stud, I don't think Howie Roseman's going to do it, which is part of the reason I'm like, why am I even saying this? But if there's a stud linebacker, if one of the top linebackers in the draft is there at 14, 15, 16, or 14, 15, 16, 19, whatever it is. I've wanted that for a couple years now. Like, give me
No.
my franchise linebacker. Give me my Jeremiah Trotter. You need that. And he never does it. He had an opportunity to do it last year. The kid out of Pittsburgh. It's a weird name.
In
It's
the
like 3 letters.
second round, was
Oku
that
or
the
something like
second
that.
round, right?
Akai Oku, yeah. And he
That's right.
drafted injured offensive lineman.
Dickerson. I didn't like that pick,
Dickerson.
but he turned out to be really good. But it's not even that. Like they never draft linebackers, period. It's always these undrafted guys that they've made their starters. That's why we've sucked so much on defense. But
Yeah,
I see the Jets.
Nate Gary and Alex Singleton are
They're all
not NFL
undrafted
players,
man. Like
they're not
and then
NFL
I always
players.
see these stupid stats. They're like, oh man, Singleton led the Eagles in tackles. Yeah, like no shit. Like they're giving up all these big plays. Like the linebacker just so happens to be there to make the tackle. He's still
Exactly
giving
how
up 15
stats
yards.
are exactly
so
how
stupid.
stats are subjective. Exactly. Well, he had a game where he had 13 tackles. Yeah, because they went
Oh.
at him. They went at him every play. He probably gave up 25. He made 13.
That was like when Chip Kelly's offense would run like double the amount of plays of other teams, and like Jordan Matthews would have all these yards and receptions. Actually, it's receptions, and people are like, "Oh man, he projects to be a great receiver." I'm like, no, he sucks. Like he's slow. He's not good. He just gets the ball thrown to him.
I agree. Like in a perfect world, man, like what the Dallas Cowboys did in the draft last year, right? Micah Parsons, bam, and then Trayvon Diggs, bam, 1, 2, bam, fill 2 holes,
game records, right?
Like, God, why can't we do that? I would love that.
Well,
big time linebacker, big time corner.
I agree. I would still draft a linebacker. I don't know if you know much about the guy they just signed. Kaiser White, apparently that guy from the Chargers is really good. I was looking into him, and apparently like he was like all of the Chargers fans are pissed that they didn't re-sign him. They're like he was our third best defender, behind Bosa and the other.
Yeah, and he just came up. He had I actually wrote it down. He had 90 tackles in 2020. In 2020, he had 90 tackles. In 2021, he had 144 tackles.
Mm-hmm.
So I
to
mean,
go along with like he's good in defending. Like I don't even want to get into how bad our linebackers were at guarding the pass. Like I just remember seeing Nate Gary with this. Oh, I just can't do it.
That's what I was just gonna say about Haasan Reddick and Kazir White. I literally put in my notes, can they cover anybody? Because you can say their tackle stats all you want. The whole deficiency in our linebacking core is that they can't cover a fly. And a good quarterback can just sit there and toss balls over the middle all day. So it's like, Eric Wilson was another guy that we signed like last year, and it was like, he did this. He had this many tackles or whatever. I'm like, yeah, but literally one of his weaknesses is covering the middle of the field. So I knew he was cooked. And people were like, why don't you do it? I knew he sucked before I even saw him play because I'm like, all I have to read is he's not been good for 5 seasons at covering the middle of the field. So he's done. We need a guy that can cover the middle of the field.
Well, luckily, that's what Kaiser does, apparently. He's really good at defending the pass. Reddick, however you say it, Reddick, he's a pass rusher. His strength is getting to the quarterback. Like I know he's listed as like, what is he, an outside linebacker? He's an edge rusher. That's what that signing was. At least they signed Kaiser White though, because I was like, the biggest needs linebacker, and we didn't sign anybody, and I'm not confident they're going to draft anybody.
Yeah, I think Reddick, it depends on the defensive scheme and everything on what he plays. But yeah, he's just basically an outside linebacker or defensive end, and all of the stats that I could find on him were sack numbers. You know what I mean? So he's just a pass rusher. But still, like I'm very happy that Howie Roseman at least went into this offseason and said, let me at least click on the linebacker section that my assistant sent me last week. Let me at least click on that and take a gander over here and like pretend that it's a position that exists in the NFL. Like we're making baby steps with Howie Roseman. But Kazir White could be good, man. I just saw an article from Crossing Broad actually. That's what he did last season is better than the Philadelphia Eagles' last 10 linebackers that they signed. So
that's crazy.
It's a good step.
We haven't had a good linebacker since D'Amico Ryans. And don't say Nigel Bradham because that was like a bargain signing and he just had a good year the year we won the Super Bowl. Everything fell into place that year. Oh, somebody commented it. There it is. Nigel Bradham.
You knew it was coming.
Like he was solid, but like, come on, man. Like,
no, but what everybody's always going to compare it to the past 2 years. You get Nate Gary and you replace that guy with Alex Singleton.
ugh. That's what I
And
mean. Like Kazier's such an upgrade over what we had. It's like night and day.
yeah, I agree with that. Rob 350 says, "Watch Gannon use Reddick wrong." Wouldn't shock me. Would not shock me. I wanted to read the pending in-house free agent. So this article was written before Derek Barnett signed. I guess I can get your opinion on that. What do you think about Derek Barnett coming back, getting another contract, and the comments that Nick Sirianni made recently? For those that don't know, Nick Sirianni said that Derek Barnett is to some degree, he said he's everything you want in an NFL player, basically, and he has a high football IQ. Okay, this guy led the NFL last season in personal fouls to extend drives, literally the opposite of a high football IQ. Third down, stop. It happened in the damn playoff game. Third down, big stop.
Yeah,
Derek Barnett hits somebody out of bounds 6 yards late.
That was the first drive of the game, too. We were about to stop them. I'm like, oh, shoot, we have a shot. Because I thought they're just going to walk all over us the first drive.
Yep. Yeah.
Which
Derek
they did.
Barnett, man. So it's like, to me, Derek Barnett was a negative. He was a guy you just get off your team. He was a guy that was so, I don't care about his intangibles or his, core skill. The guy's an idiot, and he's going to hurt you no matter what if you have him on your team. And they re-signed him. And then they tried to lie to us about how great of a person he is and how good his IQ is. So I don't know. What is your opinion on that?
It's just funny, like how all this time free agency's been going on. Like I didn't hear anything about him going to another team. Magically, he re-signs with us, and how he used a first-round pick on him. To me, it just sounds like he's trying to justify this. Obviously, I mean, honestly, like I'm not even trying to like defend this whatsoever, but like if he's a rotational guy, you can live with it because we're only paying him. I think it's like $7 million this year or $5 million or something. But if he's a starter, that's a problem. 5, gotcha. So I don't know. I mean, like more penalties and sacks, like all that. Like we all know this. I'm still just like he's been productive. I think last year like we always talk about sack numbers, right? But like I think sack numbers can be overrated because that's kind of like a product of the team somewhat too. But he had a lot of QB like hurries and QB hits for what it's worth. So if he can just I wouldn't bank on it because he's been in the NFL for like 4 years, but if he can just be like disciplined, you got yourself a decent player. But I mean, I don't know, man.
What's wrong with the guy? That's what I don't get. Like, it's gotta be like, it's gotta be like a Dwight Howard. I always compare everything to the NBA because I'm an NBA guy, but it's gotta be like a Dwight Howard kind of guy, DeMarcus Cousins kind of guy that always leads the league in technical fouls. Like when the moment gets like the most heated, he can't control himself.
Yeah,
and he just like, oh, this guy said something to me on the line. Now I'm gonna blast him out of bounds by 6 yards just to show him I'm tougher than him. Like, why don't you just not do that and give us a better chance at winning a football game?
I just remember when we drafted him, and the freaking draft was in Philly, and like I think it was a Bama linebacker that year. He didn't pan out at all, so that's fine. But I just remember when we drafted him, the fans didn't really know his name, and it was kind of quiet. And I just remember hearing all the announcers saying, like, they kept saying it over and over again. I don't know if you remember that he broke Reggie White's like sack record in college. I'm like, here we go.
Yep. Yeah. That was our first pick of the draft, wasn't it? Was that the draft that was in Philly? And then we took Dallas.
Yeah,
Goedert
the draft that was in
second
Philly.
round?
Yeah. It was like pick 20 or 19. I forget what it was.
I think it was high.
But
It was like 13 or 19 or something. At least we stole Dallas Goedert from the Cowboys, and
Yeah,
David Akers got to announce it and trolled
that was
Cowboys
awesome.
fans.
Yeah.
Aaron Cabbage, Barnett is everything you want in a football player in the same way Ted Bundy is everything you want in a boyfriend. I think Ted Bundy was actually pretty deceptive. He kept getting away with it. This guy is not even like he's not even good enough at hiding
God,
it.
that was pick 14. God, dude.
Oh man. All right. So the free agent list: Derek Barnett re-signed, Anthony Harris re-signed for 1 year, Steve Nelson, and I like Steve Nelson, man. Like I think that dude made some of the best tackles last season. He was one of the only guys on the field outside of why is his name escaping me? Our the stud corner.
Oh,
But
Slay.
yeah, Darius Slay. But Steve Nelson was on the other side of the field, at least making plays and making tackles. And
He was really solid, I thought. I didn't have any issues with him.
so I don't know what they're gonna do with him. Ryan
I
Kerrigan.
think they're drafting a corner in the first round.
Why'd they even
That's
put
what I
Ryan?
think.
This is a CBS article. Why'd they even put Ryan Kerrigan on this list?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, so
Guy had
right. So
zero
that's the
stats.
thing. Put Barnett in his role, and it's like you're good with that then, right?
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, a rotation guy that's here, here and there, not anyone you're really relying on. Hopefully not anyone that's going to be in the game in the first quarter of a playoff game.
God. Who knows though? Because if he didn't commit that penalty, they would have punted the ball. Like, who knows, man? We lose by 20 instead of 30 or whatever. I don't know what the final score was.
Yeah, probably. The Bucks really stopped playing in the third quarter the same way they did in the regular season game that we were. Rodney McLeod, Hassan Ridgeway, Jordan Howard, Jannard Avery, who was our only sign of a linebacker last year. Jason Kroom, tight end.
Oh,
I don't remember seeing him really. I think I saw him in the preseason. So yeah, that's all the free agents. I think we
they
re-signed everyone.
extended a bunch of guys like during the season. I don't count that, but that's still like something you have to consider. I think who did they extend? What was it like? They extended a lot of people. They extended Mailata like week 1.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I wasn't sure about it, and then he turned out to be really good.
Yeah. And Howie knows how to he does a lot of things with like paying guys salaries as signing bonuses to clear up a season of cap space or whatever he does, whatever the calculator does over there. I don't know. It's beyond me. It's a lot of math. But so we have a projected 18.5 million in cap space. Harris and McLeod have a chance to be retained, but the Eagles need to get younger at the safety position. I don't see them. Yeah, I don't see them spending money on those guys.
Right.
Kavon Wallace was a nice thought because, he went to Clemson, so we all thought Brian Dawkins, but he tweets more than he plays.
Yeah. He's one of those guys. Yeah, that's another position. They ignore linebacker and safety in the draft. Because Kavon, that was like a 4th round pick. Like,
yeah. Yeah, and
the year they drafted, oh God, I don't even want to get into this, but the year they drafted Jalen in the 2nd round, I think there was a really good safety that was there. Who was it? Is it I think the Ravens drafted him, I think. But whatever. I mean, I don't even want to get into that.
Yeah, and they do neglect that, and every single season it comes down to it. Like, yeah, we made the playoffs, but guess what our weakness is about to be against a good team? Linebacker, safety.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Jeremy Chin, that's who. There you go.
Yep. Yeah. So I'm ready for them to go big on either a safety or a linebacker, like as high as they can. That's what I want to happen. I just for God's sake, please don't draft a wide receiver like at 15.
With any of the 1st round picks? Because I've convinced myself that they're gonna do it now, man. I'm serious.
If they do what would make me happy with the first 2 and they didn't trade the 3rd one, then sure, especially if he's a what we need, if he's a big body guy, if he's an end zone kind of guy, if he's then yeah, but Who knows? Restricted free agents: Boston Scott, Alex Singleton, Greg Ward, Nate Herbig. See you later. See you later. See you later. They're restricted though, but nobody's knocking down the door for any of those guys. So
I thought they brought back Boston Scott. I don't care. He's not.
oh yeah, it says right here, re-signed with Eagles on a 1-year deal. Yeah.
Oh, that's a good conversation then, the running back thing, because like Miles is like the only player in that group of guys who didn't get extended because I think Avonte Maddox was extended, Dallas Goedert, Jordan Mailata. So that's the thing. Like, I think Miles Sanders is a good player, and I feel like we all think he needs the ball more, but like, I don't think he deserves like top running back numbers, and
No.
contract numbers, and you don't want to pay a running back that anyway. Like, look what happened with Dallas and Ezekiel Elliott. Like, they're handicapped now.
Yeah, I think literally like the last two big ones, like this is outside of Miles Sanders. I don't think the future of the NFL is signing running backs to big contracts. Period. Because it just like in New York, the Giants, like it.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
You can have the Adrian Peterson for how many years in Minnesota? You can have the best running back in the game for 10 straight years and not win anything because it's not a position that changes the game a whole lot. He can change the game. He can take a 5-yard loss and turn it into a 95-yard touchdown. But
Mm-hmm.
in the grand scheme of things, that's not making your team that much better in the grand scheme of things. I really think like NFL teams are really starting to figure out that a 2 or 3 like young guys that they
Yep.
drafted are just as valuable as a guy like that. Even though it's flashy and it's nice, and from a business standpoint, selling a hell of a lot of jerseys, he probably has his own shoe, he probably whatever else. So if they do pay that money, you're profiting. So I get it from a business standpoint, especially a team like the New York Giants who are never going to win anything for the rest of eternity. But yeah, the Todd Gurley contract was terrible with the
Yeah.
Rams. I don't see, and I don't. Miles Sanders hasn't done. It's not like he was a top runner. It's like Derrick Henry might be the one. I don't know what his contract's looking like, but he might be
And
one
that's
that
the
like
only one who I would justify, but you're never gonna like what is he, 6'4"? Like we're never gonna
yeah
see anybody like him ever again.
yeah that's what I mean. So he might be the myth buster. But outside
And
of
he's not even a
that
running
one
back.
guy,
Like he's just like a weapon. Like that guy does like he throws passes sometimes even. Like he's
yeah, he's a tank. So yeah, I don't think Miles Sanders is flat out a good enough running back to beat the current like state of NFL running back contracts that I see. Because I don't think anybody really cares because even Ezekiel Elliott, they gave him that big money. Like Pollard looks better than him,
yeah.
like a lot. Gainwell looked better than Miles Sanders all season, in my opinion. So
Especially the backs that need like because Miles is one of those. I feel like Miles can catch the ball, but he's one of those guys who needs like a lot of carries. It's those running backs that don't pan out. Like Zeke needs his. The running backs that pan out are the ones that are like versatile that can catch the ball, do a little bit of that. They don't need 15 carries. Just give them like 10 a game and they're solid. All the Super Bowl winners, the Patriots, that's what they would do. They'd have 3 different running backs. Blunt. Was it James White? Was it James White? I think it was something like that. The Chiefs, their running backs, like they're all pass catchers.
yeah, oh yeah, when you have a quarterback like Tom Brady, that never mattered who the running back was. People couldn't even hardly name the Patriots running backs every year they were in this
Right.
like winning Super Bowls. It didn't matter. Their receivers didn't really matter either. It was always just some random guy, Hank Basket. Uh, I don't even remember some of the names of the guys that he was throwing touchdowns to in some of those Super
See,
Bowls.
that's where I think the NFL is changing, though. So, like, I agree the running backs are kind of dying, especially paying them. I think that's why I wouldn't be mad if they used another first on a receiver because I just think, like, if you look at the last several years, it's all about having as many, like, talent, like, just upper echelon receivers as you can get. You know what I mean? Just guys who can go out there and win,
Here's how
beat the guy
crazy
in front
the
of them.
Miles Sanders contract. Here's how crazy the NFL is. Like running backs, their lifespan is 5 years. I feel like maybe
Mhm.
not even. They sign a
If
rookie
right.
contract They signed a rookie contract, and he got drafted in the second round. So I don't know what first round contracts look like, but he signed a 4-year contract for $5 million. This season he'll make 1.2 million. That's his highest.
That's
And
crazy. Really?
yeah,
What?
yeah,
Wow.
1.2 million. I know, like there's like baseball players on the end of the dugout that are making that kind of money and never even sniff the field. 1.2 million is the highest year of his contract this season, and he's unrestricted next year. And I don't think they have any plans on re-signing him because again, you can just go get another one in the second round.
Unless he's like willing to take that's the thing though. Even like if the Eagles don't want to pay him that extension, I don't think anybody else is. He had 0 touchdowns last year. He was hurt.
Yeah, I don't. It's not an extension though. He's unrestricted next season.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
there's
Yeah.
a
Oh,
well,
right,
there's
right, right.
probably a extension option on the rookie contract or something. I don't know.
I think that
I
would
don't
have
know
been
all the
this
details.
past season if they wanted to do it, and they just didn't do it. Obviously, they shouldn't have.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, next year he's unrestricted. So people are saying they got to trade him. If this season he looks like he has enough value to trade, then absolutely. Especially if they don't plan on re-signing him, I agree with that. Anything else we got to cover? What did Deshaun Watson go for? Like he went for a lot, right? 3
Yeah,
first
well,
round picks.
oh man. And I don't know if I would have done 3, maybe. Okay, actually, okay, I would have done 3, just not all 3 this year, but like look, man, like I don't know if you saw that like press conference he have. I don't like to get into like politics ever, but it did not sound good. I don't know if you saw that little sit down that he had with that one dude. It sounded terrible. That journalist, it sounded
No,
awful.
I'll have to go watch it. I saw him on his TV screen, but I didn't have any volume on at the time. I didn't hear anything they were saying, but it looked like I don't know, came off to me as like,
Just
suit up, wear a suit, tell everyone you're a good citizen now and whatever. I mean, it's the Cleveland Browns, so they
yeah.
went all in. But man, the thing is, at 26 years old, being clear of any criminal charges, we'll say that, okay?
Mhm.
Because when I said it on Twitter, people come at me, well, that doesn't mean he didn't do it and he needs to apologize for this, this, and this. I'm like, well, we're not talking about that.
Right.
He probably did everything they said in those stories. I read a lot of them, but there wasn't like enough to call it a crime. He just did some weird shit. Like some really weird shit. But at the same time, like, do you go that all in on a guy that did some weird shit? Because guess what? People that do weird shit are probably going to keep doing weird shit.
Mhm.
So there's always
And it's
that
always gonna
in the back.
follow him too, you know? Like, even if he doesn't do any more weird shit, it's still gonna follow him.
Yeah, Jay, I just gave you that timeout because I never like to start the conversation. I never like to even jump into the conversation when it comes to the media, how they view white quarterbacks, black quarterbacks, whatever. I never even touch that because it'll just turn to turmoil in the chat. There's no reason for it.
Mhm.
And I also completely disagree that the media judges black quarterbacks differently than white quarterbacks because like Russell Wilson, Patrick Mahomes, I mean, we can go on and on and on. If that was the case, the media would be irate right now at Deshaun Watson getting an NFL contract.
Right.
If
Yeah, that's what I'm
they
saying.
like, it's like they would be like, "Oh, here's the perfect opportunity. We don't want him to succeed because of his skin color, and he gave us a reason to hate him." The media would have been going all in on him, but no, he's a great quarterback. So that's what it is. That's how I see it.
Mhm.
I feel comfortable giving my opinion in that regard. I don't, whatever. Uh, but yeah, that was a lot. I would have liked to. The Eagles probably made offers, but they weren't going to go 3 first round picks.
There was a report that came out that said something about because I think, well, not anymore, but Jalen and Deshaun had the same like QB trainer or something, and apparently Deshaun didn't want to get traded to Philly to like take his job or something like that. Take it for what it's worth. But like that's the thing. Like people, really quick. I hated this conversation over the last couple months. People were like, "Oh man, Howie, doesn't believe in Jalen, man, because he's out here trying to trade for Russell and Deshaun Watson." And I'm like, "Well, who the hell wouldn't want to trade for those guys? They're both the best in the league. That's not. It's not about like Jalen's not being confident in Jalen. It's about you can get a top 5 QB. You know what I'm saying? Like same with the whole stupid wide receiver thing in free agency. Like, do you guys really want to pay 20 million for Christian Kirk? You know what I mean? Like he tried trading for Calvin Ridley. They were gonna get Calvin Ridley, but he did that stupid gambling thing or whatever. So now he's suspended.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that Ridley thing. What an idiot.
Mm-hmm. Like
And
everything changes if we have him, by the way, because that's a good player right there.
yeah, he's a stud. And there's a lot of situations where it's like you can draft somebody and hope they're as good as this guy, or you can pay for somebody that's that good right now. But yeah, you always have to weigh if it's worth it or not.
Apparently, it was a third round pick for the guy for Calvin Ridley was going to go through, and then he got suspended.
Well, that's our luck, isn't it? Yeah, man. I mean, I think we covered everything we wanted to cover. Derek Barnett signing's terrible. We'll see about Haasan Reddick. Kazir White, I hope he's good. I have no faith in John Gannon and the Eagles defense. I hope Howie Roseman makes the right draft picks. You got any closing thoughts
Hurts,
here?
right?
I hope he makes me change my mind this season. I really hope he does, and I will. If he does, I'll sit up here and say, okay, you know what? I was wrong. I think this dude has potential after what I've seen this season. So I hope that happens. And then people
do you at least have like
people be like, oh, you can't switch up now. Yes, I can.
Oh, I know.
Yes, I can. Keep that same energy.
Oh, that's the worst. People used to say that. I don't even have to explain it to you with the whole Ben Simmons thing. I wanted to be wrong about that so bad. The whole last month of the regular season for the Sixers last year, I was like, something in the back of my head kept telling me he's going to be the reason, they fall short, and that's what happened. I didn't want to be right. I wanted them to win.
That was the easiest thing to predict in the world. Anybody defending Ben Simmons was just lying to themselves. There's no way. Just from a general basketball knowledge, watching a guy that won't shoot a basketball and is trying to play point guard is my main point. Like if you're gonna be a small ball center, okay, that's the only position on the court that you can get away with not shooting. So you can't play point guard. I knew that was a disaster, and that was easy. That was an easy one for me. Everyone eventually came around.
Still, that man still hasn't suited up. I did not think I don't even know anymore, man. He's not going to play a game for the Nets. Think about that.
I think fitting him on a team is there's such a strategy involved because
I think they're worse with him, man.
Yeah, I think
they're worse with Ben Simmons.
I think they know they need time. They need an entire offseason to work with him and the rest of the team and everybody, figure out where they're even going to play him at. He's not a player you can just put on the floor. He's not a Kyrie Irving or whatever. He's not a player you can just put on the floor and Tyrese Maxey just here go get buckets. He can't. He's such a weird player that I think they're content with. Like, all right, let's see what he has next season. Like, so that's what I think. I think he's ready to go, and the Nets are like, nah, let's see what you got next season. We don't want to mess up all of this chemistry right now. You can't just throw Ben Simmons on the floor. It's such a weird fit for everybody.
But really anyway, quickly for the chat, really quickly. That reminds me, sorry, but I remember we had this discussion on Twitter. I know you were like, I'm pretty sure you were partially joking, but like, it's a fair conversation. You had brought up how Ben Simmons being a point guard and his lack of shooting is comparable to Jalen Hurts being a quarterback and his lack of throwing. I don't know. I just thought it was funny. Like, it's like,
well, I think I'm seeing. Like I see
at least the
anger.
one is willing to work on it, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, one's at least throwing the ball not well. Like if Ben was shooting 20%, then it'd be like, all right, he's shooting, but he's not doing it great.
Right.
But Ben also doesn't have other things to make up for it, where Jalen at least was running the ball and
I don't know, man. He defends really well and No, I just
Yeah. I was gonna say
we're a
something, I
toxic
forget.
fan base because of these people, man.
Oh, that's what I've noticed with whenever I say something about Jalen Hurts or any Philadelphia athlete in a negative light, there's always a group of people that are angry. They can't have the conversation, you know? They get so mad that you said that about their favorite player. And
Oh,
then they
I
can't have
know.
the conversation. It's just like it's just automatically you're a clown, you're a loser, you're the worst. Like you don't first of all, you don't even know me, but I'm a really nice guy. Like we could be friends, bro. Just because I don't think Jalen Hurts is a good quarterback, I should jump off a cliff. Like people are so crazy on the internet. But, you know, that's why I find people like you and others that know how to just, hey, here's my opinion. It's just sports.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we just sat up here and debated it this whole time.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what you're supposed to do, guys. Like, that's how
But
this works.
people take it so seriously. It's crazy, man. It's just sports, except for Ben Simmons. I hate him as a person.
Yeah, that's why I think that's why I like Jalen so much because he's like on the complete opposite side of the spectrum. I think that's where it comes from.
Well, I guess my final comments on this is I hope he proves me wrong. I really do, and I
Hope he
totally
proves me
agree
right.
with I totally agree with him having this season because there's no point in reaching. Like I said, a lot of the mock drafts I saw, Malik Willis is the top quarterback going out because he threw a 90-yard ball in a pro day. You know, so it's like,
Oh, I know
eh.
that. I was having fun with that. I was poking fun at people about that. I was like, "Oh wow, we're judging QBs based on them throwing in basketball shorts now, huh?"
Yeah, so the draft, there's nobody there, so there's no point. So you might as well give him another season and see what he has. I agree with that. So I hope he
Keep
proves
in
me wrong.
mind, all this stuff coming from me, all this like Jalen support and defense during this stream, like I was like completely irate when we drafted him, and I hated the pick. So like I did a complete 180 on him because like I just hated the pick at the time. Even when Carson sucked, well, I guess 2 years ago, I was like I still hated it. I'm like they should have drafted another playmaker or something, And I just did a complete 180. That's how this works, guys. Everybody's like stay on that side, like
No,
it's just dumb.
yeah,
This isn't politics. You don't
yeah.
choose one side and stay. Like this is sports.
I've always been very open minded. Is even with politics, it's funny that you said that. Like if for recently, I mean, I don't really want to get into it, but like just if somebody says something I like, I'm like, yeah, I like that guy. Like I don't know,
Mhm.
none of it matters to me. I like what that guy
Right.
said. I mean,
And everybody like puts you that's the problem is people when you give your opinion, people put you, in these corners, these, like a box.
people treat sports exactly the same way. Yep, you have to be in something. No, I don't. When the fans were booing Ben Simmons and he had that press conference or that post game interview where he was like, "All I gotta say is stay on that side,"
Well,
and we're like, "Bro, like if you shoot the ball and play to a level that's acceptable, we're gonna cheer for you. What? Why? So we should boo you when you play well? It doesn't make any sense to stay on that side thing. Doesn't make any sense. It'll be like Tobias Harris will have a 30-point game. And people are like, oh, where are all the haters now?
oh my god.
Well, he
I
had a good
know.
game. That's what we want him to do.
Right. I hate that the most, man, when they have like that one good game. It's like cuz in the back of my head, I would get up and tweet like, "Hell yeah, Tobias," but I just know the next 5 games it's going to be the same shit. Same
Yeah,
old shit.
it'll be the Eagles will have one like game where they kind of slow someone down defensively. And people are like, where are all those haters that were talking
Oh,
about
I
John
know.
Gannon and the defense? What? Well, they played well. We would like them to play well. So we're happy now. Like that's what reacting to what you see is, and not just that's the thing. People are so attached to their opinion, they kind of deny what they see because they want their initial thing to be right so bad.
Mhm.
There's
Yeah, that's what it
sports
is.
analysts, yeah, there's sports analysts and all kinds of podcasters and things that are like that. They'll run it into the ground, bro. You've been wrong now for a year, and you're still up here red in the face arguing with subscribers about this. Accept that you're wrong, man.
Mhm.
Yeah, Well, I don't have anything else, man. Thanks for coming through. Stephen Conrad Jr., the Liberty Line, everyone. Um, that was nice to get some Eagles talk going, man.
Yeah, man.
Maybe we'll try to bring in some other people next week. Maybe we'll make this a weekly thing. Maybe we'll do a round table with 3-4 people. You know what I mean? You never know. I definitely want to get this going at least once a week consistently.
It's a big Eagles community on here, man. There's a lot of Eagles YouTubers.
Yeah, for sure. And thanks everyone that came through in the chat. Yeah, man. Stay tuned. We'll let you know when we're doing this again. And Steve talks Sixers and NBA also, so you know what I mean. We'll collab more.
Catch you
Peace.
guys.